Hey everybody, welcome to another lesson of learning Japanese. We are covering another anime line of the day, and in this video we are going to be using a line from the anime series Sakamoto Desu, otherwise known as Haven't You Heard, I'm Sakamoto. And so the line that we're going to be covering is blank aren't even people in their eyes, just tools for their own convenience. And the blank is kind of just something that we've left blank because it's something that you should substitute in if you want to adjust the sentence to whatever you want to say. We will cover the exact line of the sentence, and there is an actual word used in that blank, so let's just hear it right now.
ヤツらはパシリを人だと思ってない。所詮は便利な道具にしかすぎないのさ。
And so there you go, the line in its original Japanese, ヤツらはパシリを人だと思ってない。所詮は便利な道具にしかすぎないのさ。And so what this line is going to translate to is just basically, errand boys aren't even people in their eyes. In the end, we're just tools being used for their own convenience. So with that exact translation, we can see here that the blank that is in the title is actually the word errand boys when we're talking about the context of this episode. But of course, since we're learning this, the reason we're learning this line is so that we can maybe adjust it and use it for our own personal use. So feel free to substitute something in for errand boys. But other than that, without further ado, let's just break down the sentence and get a hold of the vocabulary and the grammar so we can actually do that thing of adjusting it for our own use. So first up, we have the word that is Yatsura, and this is just going to translate to basically they or those guys. We have the particle wa marking those guys as the topic of the sentence. Next up, we have the word pashiri, which is going to translate to basically errand boy or person made to do things or go get things, or a gopher basically. We have the particle o right after pashiri to mark it as the direct object of the verb that is about to come. Next up, we have the word hito, which just means people. Then we have the copula da to end this kind of statement or thought, because this is going to be part of a thought, as we see here when we see the particle to, which is the quotation marker basically. Then the verb omo, which means to think or to feel or to view basically. Something along those lines, has a number of definitions that are pretty loosely interpreted, and that is going to be in its te form plus the phrasing nai. Now let's move on to the second sentence in this line, and first up we have our vocabulary term that is Shosen, which just means basically after all. In our translation, we're going to translate this to in the end. We have the particle wa just marking that as the topic of the sentence. Next up, we have the na adjective that is benri, which is going to translate to basically convenient or useful or handy. It's going to be modifying the word right after it, which is dougu, which is the noun that basically translates to tool. So benri na dougu is going to be useful tool. We have the particle ni that is going to be modifying benri na dougu, useful tool, as basically the direction towards that. Next up, we have the word shika, which is going to translate to basically only or nothing but. When we see this word being used in this way, it's going to be used with a verb in its negative form, and once we look past that to the next word, we see in fact that there is a verb in its negative form, which is sugiru, which means to pass through or to go beyond or to pass. It's going to be in its nai form, so to not pass, to not go beyond. And that's where that directional ni particle is going to come in, as it's marking that useful tool as the thing that is to be passed, but it can't be passed because this is sugiru in its nai form. And then at the end of the sentence, we see two sentence ending particles. First up, we have no, which is going to kind of have an emotional emphasis, as well as indicate that the statement that he's saying is something that he's kind of confident in concluding upon. As for the sentence ending particle right after no, which is sa, it's a bit harder to explain in exact words. It's just kind of express a kind of masculinity as well as some assertion again. And so that ends that sentence. And so to wrap it back up again, Shosen wa benri na dougu ni shika suginai no sa. That is going to translate to basically, in the end, we're just tools being used for their own convenience. That's our natural translation. A kind of more literal one, I suppose, would be, in the end, we'll never be more than just tools to them, or something along those lines. And so yeah, with that second sentence completed, now let's combine it with the first sentence, and let's hear the playback once again.
ヤツらはパシリを人だと思ってない。所詮は便利な道具にしかすぎないのさ。
And so yeah, together those two sentences to make this line will translate to errand boys aren't even people in their eyes. in the end, we're just tools being used for their own convenience. A rather profound line being used in a comedic context, but of course we can take that and switch it up with our own words and use it on a pretty serious note as well, or you can use it in a comedical note as well. But yeah, that's going to be our anime line of the day. So that's it for our coverage of the third episode of Sakamoto Desu, and hopefully you learned a thing or two. Stay tuned for our next anime line of the day.